she, her, and South William Street.
Diana Everhart. South Union Street.
Everyone,
Okay, thank you.
thank you, Charlie. The microphone correctly.
I set them up like this. They're very easy to do.
Sweet, thank you. Two quick announcements. Thank you to Shawnee for your service to the city and the NPA. Appreciate all the help. We've needed a lot of it, so thank you. And then also thank you, Amy, for these wonderful printouts and cards. Hopefully we can set up a date to hand them out to Ward 8 residents. Sweet. With that, I guess adopt the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Motion by Ann, second by Eric. Sweet. All those in favor, raise your hand. Sweet. We have an agenda. Thank you. Public comment. Anyone who wishes to make a comment at public forum? Anyone? Anyone? Going once, twice? Oh, we have someone online. Didn't realize we had online participants.
Hi, I'm Linda Rizvi. I live on Hungerford Terrace. I just wanted to request that you put the Zoom link on the agenda.
I might have forgotten. Yeah, thank you, Linda. We will endeavor to do that in the future.
Okay, if you want, I took a chance and tried the previous one, which I think is the one that's the same every time. So if you want, I can email it to you.
That would be great. Thank you very much.
I'll do that. Okay, thanks.
It looks like it's just the 3 people online, including. I mean, Linda introduced herself. Yeah, that's all online, right? Or that's it for the online participants. Cool. All right, so no other public comments. Did you want to introduce yourself quickly? Sorry.
Hi. Hi, Stephen Chiza, Ward 8, only here for a brief period, but excited to be here for when I can.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining. Did you have a public comment by chance?
No.
Wonderful. In that case, we will turn to city councilor updates. Councilors Broderick and Schachner.
All right, I'll start. My 2 updates are 2 things that happened at our city council meeting on Monday. Councilor Schachter will have other ones. So first, the mayor, Emma Mulvaney Stanek, had announced that she is planning to meet relatively soon with the new UVM president. So I think that's something that I would want to communicate to everyone, that meeting will hopefully happen soon. I don't know if there's even an exact date yet, but that will help put us on the path to having those conversations about a new UVM MOU to hopefully get UVM to put up their fair share of the bargain for what not only what they provide to the city, but what the city provides to them. So I feel like that's exciting. And then the other thing, as we had talked about at last month's meeting, in regards to recycling, the motion that I had explained last month, the short term, the medium term, the long term goals, that passed at on Monday's council meeting. So in the short term, DPW will work to create a memorandum of agreement with the Public Workers Union. That includes stuff like pay increases, retention bonuses, and creating more recycling positions to work to stabilize the recycling program and take the burden off of the streets team workers, which was the major complaint that the workers had presented to us when the question of taking the recycling program out of the city came up. In the medium term, DPW will be putting out an RFPQ, a request for proposal quote, for contracting out our city recycling service for 3 to 5 years, and in tandem or in parallel, we'll be developing a cost analysis of what it would cost the city to keep the recycling program public, and they will be presenting both of those to us, I believe, in July, and then that is when the council will get to make the decision on what path we will take in the medium term. And then in the long term, the Transportation, Energy, and Utility Committee will be working on designing a plan for the city to start having the discussions of building a consolidated waste collection system, so trash, recycling, and compost. And yeah, that will be a multi-year process. So those are my updates. Thank you.
Feel free to hop in on anything I talk about too. The big thing that I think has been taking up a lot of counselors' time this month is the budgeting process. And I know that's been in the news quite a bit. We have meetings for 3 hours every Wednesday for the month of May, where different departments present on their budgets. We've now had 3 of the 4. We have one last one next week. You've probably all seen that there's a proposal on the table and already underway for a reduction in force by 25 employees. Some of those positions are vacant. I want to say off the top of my head, about 8 of them are already vacant. Of the remaining, there was reductions about maybe a week and a half ago now, 2 weeks ago. So I think that we've all been doing a lot of internal talking around what that looks like and what that means. And the Parks Department in particular lost 8 employees. So that there's a lot of kind of reallocating of roles and responsibilities and kind of resetting. I think that's been hard for everybody to sort of navigate, but also we're facing an $8 million budget gap for next year. So, which starts July 1, fiscal year 26. So kind of figuring out those paths forward, and it's been quite the budgeting season. I think when I started, I heard it was called the marvelous month of May, and then this May we've all agreed is not a marvelous month of May budgeting season. It's been really hard. Is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, everything you just said, and then the other big change that I've noticed is going to be the merging of the Community and Economic Development Office, CEDO, with Workforce Development. They're taking Workforce Development out of the Church Street Marketplace and merging it with CEDO, and the creation of the Department of Finance and Administration.
Yeah.
Which will be centralizing the city's finance and administration from all the departments into one office. I think those are the other big changes.
Yeah, thank you. And those are all part of like cost saving and efficiency measures, so that there's not like duplicative IT services or duplicative like contracting and finance services, but that things are more centralized in the city. So I'm sure we can do our best to take any questions folks might have about that. Another big sort of headline out of City Council since we all last met was unanimous support for moving forward with the Overdose Prevention Center. And just to sort of talk about what that means, the city, in a way, it was already like well underway to be. It had been approved by multiple iterations of City Council for the last like 5 years. So this wasn't really necessarily anything new, but the mayor has brought in Teresa Vizina to be kind of the person holding the next steps with the OPC from the city level. And then we've found a service contractor, the Vermonters for Criminal Justice Reform, to be the actual service provider once it's up and running. And so now we're entering a sort of 18-month phase of planning and site selection, and really where the rubber meets the road to getting this up and running. And people have a lot of opinions, and they're all, important, and there will be opportunities for community input along the way. And so I think there's not too much more to say other than we've sort of approved now the official kind of runway to standing this up and the funding that comes with it, which is opioid settlement dollars, are sort of already kind of coming into the city. So now we have this opportunity to sort of make this happen. So more to come on that. We'll certainly, I know I speak for myself, but I'm sure I speak for both of us to say, like, try to be very proactive about promoting when there's opportunities for community input and all of those processes that'll surround getting this up and running. I've been really impressed, if you feel free to add, but I personally have been very impressed with Teresa and the Vermonters for Criminal Justice team. It just seems like we're in really experienced and seasoned hands, and I don't think we could ask for more solid folks to be sort of at the helm of helping us get this up and running.
I'd agree with all that. And I think it might not, if people are interested, I don't think it would be a bad idea if we invited Teresa to one of our future meetings.
That's a great idea.
Great idea.
And yeah,
We allowed to ask questions now or no? Okay.
please.
I don't know the format of the meeting, so I'm sorry if I'm doing it wrong. Please tell me. The two things that I think about in terms of what you're saying are, one, in addition to the homeless that are already here, we often have traveling musicians, young people who are homeless by choice, and various groups who through the summer travel the country purposefully. And Vermont is a very popular place for them to come every year. So I'm curious if folks have thoughts about what to do with those groups when they come this year. And I'm curious about if this summer, for the homeless that are still outside, are we going to be having specific designated places for them this year? That was talked about last year and then it didn't happen. So I'm just curious about that piece as part of the opioid piece. And then in terms of the changes with the trash and having different folks handle things, the other pieces that I'm curious about are noise ordinances.
Yes, I'll speak to the trash real quick because we actually just got an email from a constituent who had complained to us that Casella had for some time now, I believe, been doing collection at the early hours of the morning. And so the two of us are going to be looking into if at some point the city allowed them to do that, why and where we allowed them to do that, and if we didn't, what specifically are they violating? And I'll say that, yeah, one of the bigger concerns that I've been thinking about in regards to our recycling service changing hands, and then in the distant future, I guess, in a few years from now, it changing again, and maybe all of our waste systems changing again, is, yeah, how do people stay informed of what they need to do? And especially in regards to the bins, like if we're going to put out an RFP, what are the terms of that RFP? Like, can people just keep their blue bins, things of that sort? So those are the things that I'm paying attention to, but it's good that you brought up the noise thing, because we just got an email about that.
You know,
This happened, I'm sorry.
well, no, I was just gonna talk about the noise thing. So I live unfortunately right next to the dumpster at the Y. And so they were coming 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and it's, you know, how quiet that is when it comes back, and for just joking. So I called the city. They're not supposed to come before 7. And
That's what I know.
I have somewhere in my phone, I could look later, who I specifically was told to talk to, and that gentleman could not be more helpful and nice. And I don't know which garbage service is the Y, but he's had to call them multiple times to finally get them to not come, like, in almost, you know, to me in the middle of the night, like 4 or 5. So there is a real rule. It's not supposed to happen before 7. No, I don't know about, I think it's different downtown, but I don't think the Y is in that vicinity. I think it's like really like the Church Street Marketplace. And I just want a clarification because I'm finding this whole recycling thing very confusing. So I want to make sure that I understood what you said. So my first question is, I'll just say my questions. Like, is DPW just looking to not deal with recycling anymore because they've had trouble finding employees? Like, I guess last meeting, we found out there was like maybe just one person. And so that's why they're trying to like contract it out. So is it definitely going to be contracted out, or they're just looking into it and then they're reporting back to you and the council is going to decide what happens? But this is like a 3 to 5 year thing. And then after the 3 to 5 years, we're going to refigure this. Oh, okay. So
Funny.
why are we, so I guess my questions are, if somehow we could help DPW with the employment issue, and then just what kind of transition and everything, like you said, you know, for the citizens who, I think Vermonters really like to recycle. I know we probably have more recycling than garbage and trash. So it just seems like it's very confusing moving forward. And I don't know if you
Yeah,
agree.
I do agree. It's a very confusing process. But so I would say that at our last budget meeting, DPW actually presented their budget. And so what they're doing is that they have budgeted for the next year to keep recycling within the city, and what they view as, like I said, that short-term solution of keeping it sustainable. And the biggest factor in that is ensuring that it's properly staffed. It's not properly staffed right now, but hopefully by instituting this plan, it will become properly staffed. But so, yeah, so if the status quo, that we are improving on the status quo in the short term already by hopefully instituting that plan and it's succeeding, in which case, in my opinion, I think it would be fine. If the plan works, then I think we should just keep it in the city. But then what DPW is going to give to us in July is the decision of, they're going to show us the prices that private haulers have given them, and the price that they've determined is the cost to keep it in the city.
Already fell.
The price to keep it in the city for that 3 to 5 year period, because we've agreed, or the council and the administration and DPW have agreed that the long-term goal should be a consolidated solid waste collection system. Whether that is public or private has not been determined yet. And that will be part of that long-term process. So I guess to answer your question, yes, it is confusing, and in the short term, it is, DPW has put on funding in to keep the recycling for the next year.
Yeah, and one other thing I'll add is that at the moment, the prospect of individual folks having to contract out for their own recycling is off the table. So DPW is going to do a short-term solution from July till December to get us through. And then in July, they'll present us with like what it would cost for them to continue to manage recycling. In addition to the staffing, there's also, I've learned like tremendous costs associated with maintaining the recycling trucks. I don't remember what percentage of the overall like maintenance costs go to our recycling trucks, but it's a lot, like for the whole city there. So anyways, there's a few reasons why they're kind of wondering, should we continue to run it ourselves? But so they're going to also get local quotes from other companies. And then, but either way, it'll be a city, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's gonna be a city run recycling system, whether it's the city running it itself or the city holding the contract with an external partner. It'll all go through the city. So for the user, other than maybe needing to swap out our bins or something, if we have a different provider, it won't be that we individually are responsible the way we are for trash to do that for recycling.
And it's sorry. And it's a long-term goal, Merrick, to like have one, either DPW or this contractor do trash and compost and recycling.
Yes.
You have one day of the week that you get rid of all
Yes.
your stuff.
Well, the one day is, that would be in the terms, but the one hauler, yes, that would be the goal.
And the hope would be fewer trucks. They can do all three could live on one truck in the dream world, I feel like, but that's right. And that's what they'll be trying to build towards in the next 3 to 5 years.
And as a city looked at like what South Burlington does, what Winooski does, I have no idea what other towns around us do.
I'm not sure about what other towns do specifically, but if I recall, we received, we got like this pie chart of what other municipalities do in Vermont, and Burlington is definitely unique of having, that like having that fully private trash and compost, but then this, and then only having public recycling. I'm pretty sure most municipalities are do it privately. But then if you expand to New England, like a lot of places do it completely publicly. So it's gonna come down to if we can hire the haulers in the short term and what these quotes come back to us looking like.
And thanks. No, I do know they tried privatizing garbage collection. In 2020 and failed. I think there was a lot of pushback from Casella and Gossier and Myers. 3 different garbage collection companies. So, but in short, we're not gonna see any changes. There won't be any changes made until December.
Yeah,
At
and
the very earliest, if there's any then, and we're not gonna see a charge for recycling.
right, so
Okay.
so one thing that is included in the budget, which will be like a soft charge, I mean, it's a charge, but there's gonna be a slight increase to the solid waste
Generation tax.
generation tax, which is felt when in what you pay for your trash collection services.
It's already how you're paying for recycling. It's via that tax, but in order to keep the program stabilized and efficient, it will have to be raised.
So that's
We'll see
gonna
an
go up.
increase in our tax, in our garbage bill.
You'll see your garbage bill go up by a few dollars.
Okay.
And then if you do self-hauling, that'll probably go up incrementally as well. So that solid waste generation tax will go up. Which will then feed this ability to try to be more sustainable with our recycling program. But yeah, I think it's safe to say that if the city contracts out with private recycling services, that change would be felt in January. And that would probably be, the most change would be maybe a different bin and maybe a different day, but the city would still be picking up. The city or the contractor would still be picking up recycling. You wouldn't have to get your own recycling.
And just to switch gears, is there a timeline for when the decision will be made about the location of the safe injection site?
So that will be over the next, like, within like a 9 to 12 month period, if I'm remembering correctly.
Just to make the decision about where to place it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So it's gonna be a while before this place opens.
yeah, probably 18 months.
I don't know the numbers, but yeah, it's a pretty robust site selection process.
Lots of community input, lots of talking with providers and lots of assessing. Like I don't even know how many options there will be, given the constraints we have on just like real estate available and what's needed for a site like this. My guess is might be like a handful of options that then the community sort of discusses and gives input on. I don't know, it's been a busy, I feel like start to my term on city council. I don't know how it feels for you being in year 2, but.
You get thrown to the wolves with the whole budget process for sure.
Um,
Do we have any plan for the homeless and for the
yes, that was good.
visitors? You know?
The mayor has not presented a plan for the summer yet, but that's something that she did last year. She laid out a plan on how to address things like encampments and the like. Over the summer, I imagine that now being more informed of how last summer went, that plan is going to be different, and I'm sure it'll be presented to us soon.
Thank you. I'm just asking because we regularly have lots of things that go on near where I live. This last week, though, was the first time that I couldn't get inside my building. Last week, actually, not this week, because someone was directly in front of my door And then the next day I couldn't get out because the same person was in front of the door. So that was a new thing. Usually you have people on certain parts of the building who will move or won't move. But, and we've had people on the front, on our stairs and things. But this was the first time someone was blocking the door, and the individual, it kind of made me laugh because she was telling me I was gonna end up in jail because she was on private assignment with the police, and I couldn't ask her to leave the property. That I was gonna end up in jail. So it was interesting. So that's part of why I'm asking those questions. She said she was undercover and I had no right to ask her. Ask her for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something we can definitely bring back and share and ask for an update.
Yeah.
On the senior side around the plan. I've been on a sort of listening tour of the community as I'm getting my feet under me, and yeah, there's broad consensus that this summer is likely to bring more folks who
Yeah.
are unhoused and in need of shelter.
Yeah.
Just given the patterns of the last
Yes.
several years. So what you're
Every
naming.
year for many, many years, that's been a pattern, and usually the homeless shelters talk about it, and also the people serving food talk about it, like, is this a group that's gonna be allowed food, not allowed food? There's been different trains of thought around that, depending on the food sources and what people can and can't do, and that kind of thing. So I was just curious.
Yeah, we can try to get more information before the next NPA, Ward 8 NPA, and see if we learn anything about the
you.
summer.
Thank you.
You know, there's a lot happening at the state level that's impacting Burlington as well.
All good on updates and questions for our counselors? Good. All right, then, ahead of schedule, we can turn to the old Y redevelopment, 266 College Street.
Thank you.
Take it
Ryan.
away.
I'm Bruce Baker, and this is
Hunter Gomez from Reart Company.
Hunter's a project manager, and we have a website you can go to that Hunter will show you, where we'll keep you updated on things that'll happen from day to day, from month to month in the project. Right, and that's really, there's been a lot going on, and we're going to show you a drone video if we can get it up.
Yep.
That shows you what's happening inside the Y, and we're purposely trying to keep a light footprint in the neighborhood now, although a lot's been going on inside. We're accessing it from the back to do that because construction just takes a long time and it's not pretty. It's disruptive to traffic and noise and lots of other impacts. So we're trying to go as light as possible now and into the future, knowing that in the future we're going to need some indulgence to get this done. But before we get too far, we're excited to show you what's happening inside it. One thing I'll say about this is, like, we've been working for 2 years almost nonstop on this. This is not an easy site to redevelop. The entire foundation surrounding the north and the easterly side, Union Street and the parking lot to the north, holds up the street, holds up that parking lot. So you can imagine, like, the design and engineering challenges around, and the cooperation we've had to have from city officials, which they've been great to get that done. But 2 years doesn't feel like a sprint to all of us in this city watching that, but it was a sprint from our perspective.
A lot of legs in the race.
Yeah, 7 or 8 people, almost full time on it, including
Yeah.
Hunter.
So yeah, I think I think I'm sharing here on the screen. So take you through a tour of this updates website we've got. There's actually some QR codes on the fence right now that will take you right to this website. And so that kind of just has a overall description of the project, kind of who's involved here, and then a linkable tab where we can update everyone on what's going on. We've got kind of a look ahead here, what's coming up in the future. And then there's another page for frequently asked questions that we put our first pass at on here. And as more come in, we'll update this as people ask questions and keep people informed in that way. There's also another, there's a web, or I should have mentioned that there's an email address here if you've got any questions at the bottom, which will go to myself or somebody that can answer the questions and respond or update the website accordingly. So that's all available here for use. And then there's also a video here of what the project will look like in its finished state. I don't know if we want to take a spin through that real quick.
That'd be great. Thank you.
I didn't choose the music.
I don't know if I'll play the music. I don't think it'll go through I don't know if there's anyone online. I don't know if it'll play the music because it
probably good.
on the meeting here, but this is looking northeasterly from College Street. Obviously, the facade there remains as is. With the same door location. As is the case on the north here. This is the north side now looking northwesterly. That Volvo, if it would be, is going down north on South Union here, just to orient you. Now we're coming down down South Union Street headed north. That's really the main entrance of the building there. This side. Like Bruce mentioned, really, maximizing usage of the space and building on top of the existing building certainly poses some challenges. So we appreciate all the efforts that everyone's put into this to date, moving things forward, because obviously it's been a situation down there for sure. So we're excited to improve the neighborhood without doubt. Talked to City Market quite a bit. Was emailing with them just the other day. They're obviously excited to see things move forward. So that's kind of just a rendering, but. Yep. And then this is what we've been.
So while he's looking at that, I'll tell you, it's a LEED gold building. So what that involves at the start of a project like this is we've got to go in and look at all the recyclable materials, sort them, and take them away to be recycled. Now that sounds simple, but it's not like sorting the trash in your house. So for example, the concrete that has rebar in it that we're taking out has to be jackhammered, and the rebar gets taken out and the concrete goes to one recycling area and the rebar goes somewhere else. So a lot of that kind of stuff's been going on for the last 8 months inside the building. It's a painstaking, difficult job with lots of jackhammers and lots of noise.
Yeah. And also just the way the building was constructed in so many different eras led to a lot of different construction types coming together, which makes it, when you're keeping part of the building and connecting a new building to that, creates a lot of structural and architectural challenges. So getting in there and sorting all those materials and segregating them, and also exposing the different connection points and bearing points for the engineering and architecture teams has been very beneficial. So this is really starting back, like Bruce said, months ago, and taking that in phases. This is a kind of a drone footage of when we were starting out here in the sorry, pause. I'm not versed in Zoom. I gotta switch screens. I thought it was scared.
Parking lot on the north side of the building going to remain a public parking lot?
So during construction, we're going to be using part of it, but it will be forever after the construction. We're going to need, we can, if you like, get into our logistics plan about how we're going to get materials inside and trucks and things like that. And this is Hunter's job to coordinate that. But much of that's going to come from that north parking lot, if I have this right, correct?
Yeah.
He's in the details, but basically what we're going to do is maintain the exit from City Market by segregating with Jersey barriers the northerly portion of that parking lot. So you can still
Printed.
drive out,
I
but
printed
we'll be using that for, we need to have lulls and cranes to bring in equipment and supplies and materials. So that's, that's the safest way we could find to do that. And also preserve, the other thing on Union Street is we're trying to preserve the traffic going north. Luckily, it's a one-way street. It would have been much better for us and less costly to take the whole street, but we just couldn't do that to the neighborhood, so we're going to take one lane of traffic,
Yeah.
one lane of parking
One lane of parking, yeah, in the bike lane.
and the bike lane and maintain the driving lane.
We can walk through this later. I'll pull it up on the screen, but I did print, was in this meeting working with, or in this room working with DPW to work all that stuff out. Meeting with City Market and stuff. So we'll pull that up after. And we can look at it on the screen and talk through all that. But this is basically starting months ago. Like I said, we started in the building to remain, working top down, and now we've worked our way through, largely the building to be demolished and replaced. So this is back in the winter, obviously. And this is the condition it had fallen. Obviously, if a building sits unconditioned for so many years, it falls into disarray. So this is the quick snip we already saw here, but then we're gonna fly through the building. So this is that College Street entrance. This is the back octagonal part. We've been really just stripping all the materials, sorting all the metal, so that can be removed later with machines.
This is one of the
Sorting-
pools.
Yep, sorting all the general C&D waste, and the wood into another areas. So it's quite cleaned up now, and it's really ready for the structural part. All the track is removed in the gym floor. We've saved a bunch of historical components, the center of the gym floor, tiles, all the plaques, things like that. So looking forward to making some homage to it in the future, with what was memorable anyhow.
How about the graffiti? What do you think?
The graffiti is recently in progress, I'd suppose.
Yeah,
There's
we're
this
we're
team
starting to
working-
get rid of the graffiti. You know, we're really happy because we took it down some down, and we've done it 3 times now, and this time it hasn't come back.
Hmm.
So, you know, we haven't completed it, but I thought, the last time, it was a year ago in March, and it got tagged that night. But it hasn't, and if you go behind to the west, there are 2 buildings, the old New England Telephone Building. We started to do some painting of all the backside of the what's the name of the
Parking
the
garage,
the Howard
Center, yeah.
Center's parking. So we've taken away that graffiti, and we'll be continuing to do that, and so far that hasn't been tagged yet, so we're hopeful.
Share again here. Logistics plan that we had been talking about. I gotta switch my screen. So yeah, so we worked for, a matter of a couple months, maybe even approaching 3, working with DPW, the neighbors, the businesses next door, Felino's, City Market, everyone. Really worked this plan out of how we're gonna get in and out as least disruptively as possible. And obviously maintaining safety and stuff for both ourselves and the public. One item that came up was we're gonna have a lot of heavy trucks, obviously a lot of materials coming in, tractor trailers. So this was included right in all the bid documents that all truck traffic that can't make the corner on Pearl Street would have to follow the truck route to Riverside. So that was a good, back and forth with DPW, work that out. That's the very first page we've got here. And then from there, showing our traffic control plan and pedestrian access, really trying to limit impacts in any way possible. So College Street remains open 2 directions. There will be some isolated utility tie-ins that will address, as we get more dialed in with the schedule. Because that will only be only be a few days at a time. So, we talked through that with DPW that will handle that and kind of isolated incidences to be really, really granular on the timing of that and not take over more than we need to. And then working also with the fire marshal. So we're maintaining swing radius in both directions so that they can get down South Union and keeping the traffic there flowing. We're going to build a temporary road along the sidewalk, taking part of the sidewalk out. So a temporary road for the course of construction to exit City Market parking lot. And then essentially fencing this area in for us to use because we've got a lot of work that has to happen, obviously, on the facades and things like that. So there'll be lifts on the adjacent to the building, crane work, things like that. We'll have to set up safety and stuff. So this is the high level overview to really show the traffic plan. And really just backing up to that, the main The only real impacts, other than the exit from City Market and the parking lot and the parking stalls, is that this section of sidewalk and this section of sidewalk would be closed. So that's what we're showing here, rerouting the pedestrian traffic down and around just those areas, which we're hoping that is as minimally invasive as possible while still maintaining pedestrian safety. And then this gets into real granular level of different phases. So the project will take different shapes as we move through it. There's going to be the first phase, heavy equipment, bulk demo. That's when the building that is being removed in red here is coming down, and we're installing the excavation support kind of hand in hand with that. As Bruce mentioned, basically the building is holding up the parking lot and the road right now. So we're going to take the building down to a certain level. And then at that point, we have to in lifts install this SOE, supportive excavation, and then take another section of the building down and put more of that in until we get down to the working level below where the new foundation can go in. So in order to do that, we're putting in Jersey barriers along the road here to really separate the local traffic from the construction traffic with a gate at each end. And so that's where one-way traffic works out in our favor to some regard. So we can bring trucks down South Union, come inside the gate within our safe Jersey barrier area, and then close the gate behind them, open it, and they can exit after they're unloaded essentially. Or in this case, loaded, moving material out. So that'll be the first phase throughout the summer essentially. And then we'll move into, with some overlap, obviously, as we're working south to north. There'll be some overlap that will move into really the excavation, foundation, and structural steel phase. Traffic flows, everything outside the gate largely stays the same. We will get a crane into the center area here, which is where we will be erecting the structural steel, because the building has different construction types such that the first two levels are steel and concrete construction, and then it's wood framed above that. So there'll be a period of time of structural steel erection that'll go very fast. It'll be exciting. A lot of beams and columns getting bolted into place, and then concrete floors getting poured as opposed to wood floors. And that'll take us really through the fall and winter timeline of 2025. And then we'll get into the top floors 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all wood framed. And so then we're going to be largely following the same patterns, but kind of a different cadence, if you will, because all the panels all the wood framing is coming panelized. So that means they'll be coming prefabricated with the windows and the door, or only a few balcony doors, I guess, in this instance, but all framed on the truck. So this is really going to be, I'm remiss to use this phrase, but sort of just in time shipping, if you will, where all the panels are going to be stacked, if it all works out right, in the order we want them on the truck, so that we're picking them up and putting them right down where they go. So that will also go, I think, probably surprisingly fast for the neighborhood. So we're really getting the structure up as quickly as possible in order to proceed with the finishes inside. And that's really late winter, spring, a little bit into summer 2026 phase. And then we'll move into what will be the last phase, and a fairly lengthy one, because we'll be working through the building. I mean, all the way through it and in different stages. But once the structure's up, it's weather tight, we can start the finishes phase and the siding phase, where we're working on the facade outside. And then there'll be different crews working on every floor. We'll have the plumber on the first floor, and then he'll move to the second, and then the mechanical contractor will go behind him, and the electrician will go behind him, and so on and so forth, right through drywall and flooring and stuff. So the traffic flow and everything will stay the same, but kind of the activities that you're seeing will differ, and the equipment on site and stuff will differ. And that's kind of the rundown of how we see it going right now.
So fall 26.
To be done. That we're going to start summer 2026 in this, and then it's a pretty lengthy process to get through the finishes of the building. It's a nice building, so we're going to be shooting to be done in the spring of 2027.
We did everything we could within each system to expedite. For example, REARC devised a system where normally you'd have to complete a whole building and then rough in electrical and then rough in all the stuff and seal it and have it all sealed. But they're going to be sealing it at different floors, so that basically we could let's say it's the first 2 floors, seal it on the top, weather tight with a roof, internal roof, and then we can finish that below and not have the trades working in parallel, in series, but rather in parallel.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
that was with strong cooperation from REARC and its subs to do that, to move it along.
Yeah.
The site work phase, just the mass demolition and putting it requires ground improvements, which means basically this is on the ravine, and the soils have been basically told to me that they're like jello, according to some people,
With
some of the design
A
team,
little bit of trash mixed in.
with a lot of trash and
Yeah.
ash. And so we're removing all those soils and taking them to Coventry or Plattsburgh. And then and then the ones we're keeping on site, we're capping, which is subject to our soil management plan. But then we have to drill down and drill pilings to support a foundation. Otherwise you couldn't build anything there, because it's the old ravine, and people used to say, hey, come bring your ash and pour it here for many years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good note as well. Yeah.
So that part of this takes a while because it's painstaking in that, we have to sort the soils.
Yeah.
So when you take the soils to a place like Coventry, they want to know what contaminants are in it. So we have to take a truck, test it, tell them what layer at Coventry or wherever it's going to go in, because they're different as to where you can put it. So and this is all mapped out. Thank goodness we have the technology we have,
Yeah.
because this is laid out in a geotech grid
Yeah.
that wasn't available to us 10 years ago, probably.
Yeah, it's pretty wild where we've gotten in terms of technological advancements for sure. But it is a tricky endeavor because also with so little space and a lot of material, you really want to touch it one time as well and take it straight where it has to go. I guess that'd be just in time shipping, if you will, because there's no spot to put 1,000 yards of soil here. So it's a little tedious in that regard just to get out of the ground. So I think that the progress will be, everyone always wants it to be faster, but once we hit that foundations and up, I think it'll hit a really exciting period of time for sure.
Can you remind us how many units of housing will be in it once it's done?
79.
Those
Yeah.
are what, 2-bedroom apartments?
They're a variety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the largest?
3s and 4s. Yeah.
And we've also tried to optimize some efficiency in terms of the systems, like Bruce was saying, that a lot of the units have pretty cutting edge all-in-one systems, which do meet all the energy codes and supply fresh air and do heating and cooling within the unit itself. The piece of equipment is in the unit itself. So that kind of cuts down on shared air and excessive ductwork and things like that. So we're pretty excited about that as well.
What goes on the floor with the pool ones?
That's the
That's the
isn't it?
parking garage. Yeah.
There's part of the U below there are some entries to the building, and there's an exercise room
Yep.
there,
Yep.
but for the most part, it's parking inside that U.
Yeah. And all the utility entrances and stuff like that. It's kind of unique the way that the building was built, as I've learned quite a bit about it. The pool is not, so I guess the pool level, if you will, would actually be probably chest height of the parking garage, because we're matching the floors of the original building to remain. Pool is also original, but they built it kind of like a half layer down. So that pool deck would be that's at 210 feet elevation, and the parking garage is at 207. So the pool deck would be like knee high almost, I guess, or waist high. And then the first floor is like 214 or something like that, because the street outside is 218. So the pool is actually kind of half sunken down below the South Union Street elevation. So it's it can be pretty confusing to wrap your head around when you're following all the stairs down and like, oh, I'm on 0.5 level right now. And then there's a 1.5 level. And so
the pavement grade on Union Street is about 218.
it's 218 at the intersection, 218, 219, and then it drops to 216 on the corner where the parking lot is. And then that parking lot comes around to 213. And so it gets progressively closer to the pool elevation. The North Addition pool is also 210 because those two match. So once you get over there, it's, you're probably chest level to outside, something like that. But yeah, we've done a lot of exploratory things and found 12 or 18-inch thick concrete wall behind the CMU block wall that everyone had seen if you'd been in that pool. So that was, oh, we've confirmed like that is physically definitely holding the parking lot up right now. So there's a lot of intricacies that this long runway has been good because something like this really takes a lot of planning, and it's been good. Obviously, once again, everyone wants to go faster, but you really got to have, you want to have all your ducks in a row when you endeavor on something like this for sure. And I feel like we've got a pretty good grasp on it now. Yeah, fire away.
Okay, so I'm Charlie G from Ward 2. So I'm wondering, is there a specific city official who's coordinating all the projects that are under construction downtown? So we still have another year and a half of the high school. You've got City Place, you've got the Main Street project. The rail yard project's coming pretty quickly. So who from the city is coordinating all these projects to see how they affect the public while they're ongoing?
That would be probably a question for the city. I think that DPW has a pretty good grip on all of them. That would be my uneducated answer, I suppose. That's who we've been talking to largely. I don't know if there's one person.
Yeah, I think there are portions of the city responsible for different
Yeah,
elements of it. So DPW and permits and inspections are heavily involved, and the fire marshal and public safety elements of this. And as far as capital planning is concerned, the planning staff is trying to predict, okay, how much can they spend on fire trucks and such based on this. So I think the answer is that there are multiple different elements of this in multiple different departments. There's no one that I know of.
yeah.
Pretty good answer.
Harley, do you know when the school is supposed to be done? Do you have any idea?
In September, it'll be one more year.
Like one more full school year, not in it.
So they can start September 2027.
I think it'll be 2026.
I feel like January, is it January?
Six.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah, I think that's what I'd heard. Yeah, yeah, 1 year from this.
Okay, 1 year from this September. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's not that far away
Is-
if they finish in time. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
I did a lot of volunteer work and fundraising in that old building to piecework it all together. So I appreciate, it definitely was a patchwork quilt, or is, I should say. I appreciate all the work that you're doing. I think my only question goes back to what I was saying earlier about noise ordinance. As this lady was mentioning, where I live is closer to the city, so our noise ordinance is a little different. And we used to have certain days with the music. I keep bringing this up, but you had certain times where you could kind of catch up on sleep. But now we really have every day that has bar noise and partying noise, and then every day that has early morning noise. So a lot of the city work starts in the middle of the night. A lot of it is 5 a.m. That used to just be in the winter with the plowing, but now it's every day. And the construction that's going on near where I live, it's not supposed to start till 7, but they start at 6. So for me, in terms of sleep, it's really chunks of sleep. It's not actual hours of sleep. So it's interesting because you think it's not going to affect you, but after a year of what we've had here, so I kind of hear what Charlie's saying is like, who's coordinating certain aspects of it, because it's important for you all to do the work that you need to do and have certain time frames, but it's very difficult as someone who's living around it, who doesn't have any say over any pieces. So an example is the teams often meet very close to where my bedroom is, and at that hour of the morning, you can hear people like this because the other things are quiet. So I had a suggestion saying, can't they just cross the street and go a block down? There's a business and it's not near any residential. And I thought it was a reasonable request. But I don't understand who to ask and who gets to say that. And I can hear from your talk that you're very, very thoughtful about all you're doing. And I would say that just maybe checking in with the people that live right there would be an unnecessary step, but very welcome step, because some simple things might be able to get resolved quickly.
I would say reach out to us because Hunter and I are gonna be there a lot. Hunter, and we have a full-time superintendent there named Sean and an assistant superintendent there half-time. And, like most things in the city, you may not realize your neighbors, I may not realize when I'm making noise that harms my neighbor, but if you tell us, we're gonna work to mitigate it. It's really important to us to make sure that we're good neighbors now and in the future in this location. And, we've already started working closely with the church across the street so we can coordinate. Ally has been at a couple meetings with the church next door because we kind of view this as particularly with regard to public safety. I can't protect tenants on my site unless I have the cooperation of the city and maybe other neighbors as well. So for example, we bought the two buildings next door and we're refurbishing both of them. And we have night patrols and maybe you've seen them in the neighborhood, but that's us. And the reason is I want to protect my tenants. I want the neighborhood to be better because we're there, not worse. And, I want, part of the reason we're doing this, there are easier places to accomplish something like this. We want to make the city better, and that includes public safety. We want it to be what it used to be.
Yeah, we're definitely open to that too. Sean and I, that Bruce mentioned, went and met with the physical therapy folks across the street the other day. So we chatting with them and keeping them informed. They're very quick to share cell phone numbers and stuff. So like Bruce said, we want to hear from folks and do everything we can to make it as palatable as possible for sure.
And I just want to say for the record, what I'm talking about is different construction than you guys.
Yeah.
I didn't want you to think I was
We don't-
jabbing you. I'm not.
But our
No.
guys, there's gonna be an army of people working there, and if they're talking outside and they don't realize it, then if you either talk to us or send an email on the website, we will, that's something that, those are the kinds of things that we would really be happy, it'd be really helpful to know.
Yeah, we can engineer those controls for sure.
Thank you. It's okay. I was just going to say, I'm not even jabbing the folks near where I live. They're actually lovely workers and they're all very pleasant. I just don't think they realize the impact of starting a whole hour early, what it does every day when you have people who are up till 2 and 3 a.m. Multiple nights during the week. It's a difficult balance.
I'll also add, I don't want to speak for Merrick, but I can speak for myself that feel free to always loop the counselors into those sorts of communications too, because I'm noticing how helpful it is to hear from constituents, like what's impacting them, how we can be most helpful. And, we can also go, like, if it is something that maybe DPW should know about, or, there's a lot of city construction projects or a lot of different folks, there's lots of projects happening in the city right now. We can also help kind of triage or coordinate. So I would say, like, you're always welcome to CC us or reach out directly. But even if you go directly to Hunter and Bruce, you can still CC us too. It's helpful, and we're happy to help escalate as we can.
And as I said, I'm not near you, so I'm not talking about you guys at all. I'm in a different part of town.
Well, we've all been there though. We've all been there.
I might be walking around the site at 6 a.m., but because I'm an early riser, but there shouldn't be any workers there until the 7 o'clock start
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
To actually working, they may
Yeah.
be arriving, but
Yeah, that's
7
usually when we unlock the gate is at 7. So that keeps a grip on it.
Can I ask you all, as this is happening, what's the best way to stay up to date? Is it visiting the website?
That would be probably the most direct way, unless you have a specific question or something like that, and then using that email address would be,
Okay.
if you're not finding what you're seeing on there, then the email address would be the best.
Are you sending email updates to neighbors?
The response I had been trying to stay away from that, honestly. I think just as one spot, then that way it's updated for everybody. In real time rather than direct updates, because I don't know that I even have everyone's contact info. We have put together a list of all the neighbors we have, but that's why we kind of leaned into having this QR code posted and making the website known for everyone, and that way nobody's getting left out, I guess.
Okay.
Often off a mailing list, and nobody knew they should have been on it, so.
All right, thank you, guys. Appreciate the update.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to do it.
Any further questions from the NPA? Good. All right, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.